Throughout time, humanity has gone to great extents to understand our natural world. And at this point, we've acquired a good amount of knowledge on the subject. However, we've virtually no understanding of the immaterial world, and at the pinnacle of this confusion lies the question, is there a God? Over the years, many great minds have tried to answer this question countless times. One of the most famous answers lies in Pascal's wager. One of the most brilliant minds of his era, the 17th century mathematician didn't believe that any of the traditional arguments for God's existence warranted his belief in them. In other words, the way the church argued for God's existence didn't have evidence strong enough for him to believe in God.
Pascal believed in the God of Jansenism, which is a sect of Roman Catholicism that believes that if one believes that God exists, and he actually does, you will go to heaven. And if he doesn't exist, you have nothing to lose by believing in him. Therefore, Pascal says that believing in the God of Jansenism is in our best interest.
You see, Pascal believed that to believe in God was pragmatically justified rather than rationally, meaning that there was sufficient reason to warrant your belief in God. For him, it was a pragmatic reason, in that a belief in God benefits you, so you should believe it. Going to heaven will benefit you, rather than just there is science behind God existing, which at the time there wasn't enough evidence for. One of the key parts of Pascal's argument, if not the most important part of Pascal's argument, is the idea that you have nothing to lose when believing in God. We'll go deeper into that later. Another part of Pascal's argument that focuses more on an existence of God, rationally justified, is the idea of the first cause argument, which upholds a certain amount of determinism in that nothing can be uncaused, nothing can cause itself. So that everything is the result of a long line of cause and effects, and there needs to be a first cause to everything on this earth, that first cause being God. This diagram should help clear up any further questions you have regarding the part of Pascal's argument in the benefit and cost of believing or not believing in God. Here you can see in the case where God does not exist, whether or not you believe in God, you will be unaffected. Life will go on the same way it has. But if God does exist and you don't believe in him, you can see that you are in big time trouble. Whereas if he does exist, praise be, you are on your way to heaven. One huge part of Pascal's argument is that he puts the chance of God existing at 50-50. He basically says that you could figure out whether or not God existed through a coin flip. Heads being God existing, tails being he doesn't exist. Thus, prior to the coin flip, you'd be foolish not to believe in God, because if you do, you have nothing to lose. A, you go to heaven, or B, God doesn't exist, and life goes on as it were. As there are flaws with almost every argument, there are flaws with Pascal's wager. Some of these you may have already thought of in your head. To start, the argument believes that there's a 50-50 chance in God existing with almost no evidence to back that up. Pascal just assumes that. Also, the argument assumes that there is nothing to lose when believing in God, and that there is no risk to believing in God, which Pascal truly doesn't know. That's an assumption. There could be a punishment for believing in God later in life, we just don't know it. This would make the argument in having nothing to lose be obsolete. Atheist and philosopher Galen Strawson voices his disagreement with a belief in God here. He says, "It is an insult to believe in God. It is supposed that he has perpetrated acts of incalculable cruelty. On the other hand, it is to suppose that he has perversely given his human creatures an instrument, their intellect, which must inevitably lead them, if they are dispassionate and honest, to deny his existence. It is tempting to conclude that if he exists, it is the atheists and agnostics that he loves best, among those with pretensions to education, for they are the ones who have taken him most seriously." What Strawson is saying here is that God has given us our intellect, and we would be ignoring our intellect if we were to believe in God, for there isn't a strong rational justification for him. So those who don't believe in God would then be technically praising him the most because they are using their intellect, which, if this were the case, would make no sense to believe in God.